guys. It's so them guys won't recognise it. Just ignore that.
So this is outside Lancashire County Council, and we're here to hand out Christmas cards to the councillors who've been very good this year, and less so to the ones who've been bad. Labour councillors that we have outside now have been fabulous, and they've received their Christmas cards because they're good people.
Yes, we did. Thank you.
So, with regard to how it is inside the council and what the last year's been like, I know for us at the side of the road on Preston New Road, we've been there for nearly a year solid, and we're exhausted and we're fed up. And what we see is that when Quadrilla put the plan in, it's like I put a plan in for a conservatory and then added, just one more room, till I accidentally built a mansion next door. So, and that's how it feels to us. But the councillors inside, are you as frustrated as we are? I mean, what's it like?
Absolutely. It's really frustrating because as councillors, we like to see the rules and regulations upheld. They're really important, and what I've seen again and again is planning conditions, planning rules not being upheld, and the council not using the powers it has. Now, yes, the council does have its hands tied by the central government, but there are things we can do that we should be doing, and unfortunately the Conservative administration are just refusing to do it. It's not acceptable.
But you have some powers that you could have applied, so there is no excuse really for those who are going, oh well, it's not us, you know, it's the government. Yes, it is the government, but you guys are in a position where you can represent the people and stand up for our social needs.
And not only can we should.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, no matter what party we are.
Could you introduce yourself?
Sorry, my name is Lizzie Collins. I'm County Councillor for Lancaster East.
And you're Labour?
And I'm Labour,
And my name's Lorraine Beavers, and I'm County Councillor for Fleetwood West, and I'm Labour.
Lovely, thank you, ladies. Really glad that you're here and fighting our case inside. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Cheers.
By the side of a road.
Constantly. Mad. Oh, if you're free on the 5th of January, we're honouring our 1 year at the roadside. It's called Black Friday. So this is where we are. We're at Lancashire County Council, and we snow painted things, but some people got a little bit upset and thought it was vandalism. So I quickly wrote at the end of this Frack Free Lancashire that this is snow, so that people would understand we weren't vandals. So we're going to stay here for a bit more in the afternoon, and we're going to continue to meet and greet with the councillors.
Stephen Holgate,
This gentleman from Unison. Sorry, love.
Just not happy about this.
And just down here we can see Councillor Gina Dowding from Lancaster Green Party talking to That's Lancashire, and they're doing, I think, a TV interview just there. And Pete Roberts down there handing out leaflets. Everyone finds their role and their place to be here, and turns up in the cold and the rain.
Lancaster City Council to have that control over that function, gully clearing again.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
I'd like to grab you for a change. You're normally the guy with the camera. I thought, I'm going to sneak up behind him and surprise you.
I sensed there was somebody there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Morning, Gina.
You're welcome. Hi.
I'm going to carry on walking down here and see who we can see. So Peter's put up all the banners this morning.
Well, that's it. Keep going. Thank you.
Afternoon, Pete. It's a heck of a banner. Who made that one?
Much travelled, that banner.
It's a bloody good banner.
To the judicial reviews.
And nice and light.
Been at the football ground, been at the rugby ground, been all over the place, and we'll go a lot more places.
Gorgeous. And at least it's portable and light because it's cotton. But mind you have to bring the poles with it?
Yeah, they're fast enough, it's fine.
It's heavy enough though.
Normally we'd put it in the ground. It does the roundabouts.
Yeah. Oh, of course,
red,
yeah.
green.
Yeah.
It's a busy banner.
Yeah.
Beautiful banner. But the message is very simple.
was our please ban fracking. We added the word please. This is for the councillors. We don't want to annoy people, but we do want people to understand that we're not going away and to see that our presence is going to be here, and that every time they make decisions, particularly like decisions they made yesterday where they decided to allow the nighttime deliveries. And you know, it's the I can never pronounce that word, obfuscation or whatever it is, the one where they deliberately hide information in stupid words and stupid ways of defining things, like they've said about the nighttime deliveries. And they're convoys, you know, they're like 38 trucks, and they call each one of those things an incident, I think is the word they're using, rather than defining it as a convoy. You know, so they tried to make it sound much lighter than it was. Oh, we'll only have 9 incidents. Well, it's not 9 incidents. It's 9 times, 38 times. And then they say, oh, well, that'll be over a 6-year period. Well, no, it won't, because it won't be required over that period of time. It'll be required over a shorter period of time, so the intensity will be huge. We're stretched as a movement. We have 2 court cases today. There's one in Lancaster, and I can't remember, I think the other one might have been over in Bolton. And then there's the side of the road as well. Apparently this morning's been really busy up at Preston New Road. Miranda, I'm ready when you are, lovely. Nick?
Where's the mic?
It's over there, it's all plugged in, wired up and ready to go. Just pick it up and switch it on, love. So Miranda's written an amazing piece, so we're going to get her to read it out. It really sums up a lot of what's going on.
Right, good afternoon everybody. We're gathered here today to remind Lancashire County Council. Shall I start again? Good afternoon everybody. We're gathered here today to remind Lancashire County Council, and indeed the Lancashire public, that we're still fighting the battle against fracking. We had a setback yesterday that the Development Control Committee made a decision to allow Cadrilla to extend their traffic to Preston New Road and have nighttime convoys. So that's a bit of a blow to us, obviously, but nevertheless we need to remind the councillors that the fight goes on, and ultimately fracking will be stopped one way or another. I'm convinced of it. Anyway, we gathered for a peaceful protest here today and to engage with the public, and I want to hand over to Councillor Miranda Cox, who has got something she'd like to read out to you about her thoughts about the campaign, I should say the ongoing campaign for all of us. So I'm going to hand you over to Miranda.
Hello, just for the record, I'm a Kirkham Town Councillor, so I sometimes feel that my voice and the voices of my constituents are overlooked quite a lot. Yesterday I didn't know really how to process what was happening to us as a community and as a county. It seems that at every turn the decisions are being made in favour of an industry as opposed to the interests of the public. So I sat last night and had a few thoughts, and this is a culmination of my thoughts. It's been a very strange year for those of us in the anti-fracking campaign. We've made bonds forged in adversity. We've pushed ourselves to the very limits of our mental and physical tolerances. Some of us who've previously never protested have been arrested and criminalised, and we've been physically hurt and traumatised by a deep sense of betrayal. Speak to many of those involved at the roadside or behind the scenes, and they all tell the same story, that fracking has changed the way we view the world. It's a changed view not just about the environment but also about politics, democracy, economic and social norms that once accepted are now challenged. This sense of betrayal is directed at those authorities we've spent a lifetime of respecting and expected to be protected by. The past month in particular has highlighted beyond doubt that this battle is as much about our fight for democratic justice as it is about for our desire to stop an industry that we firmly believe is toxic to the environment, to politics and to our communities. Yesterday's no vote in the Lancashire County Council Development Control Committee to allow yet another variation to Cordrilla's traffic management plan is a highly concerning political development. I'm not going to rehearse the arguments that planning was originally refused by Lancashire County Council when it was led by Labour. It is clear, though, that the new Conservative administration seeks to behave as their parliamentary counterparts by resolutely voting along party lines. There's a growing resistance to fracking across the world, with a number of investors divesting from construction schemes and pension funds. Even the UK government is not consistent in the message that this new fossil fuel has a place in the energy mix. The economic argument is being debunked and the safety credentials questioned. Theresa May's government is attempting to rebrand as a Green Party while shamelessly pursuing a fossil fuel extraction at the expense of renewables. It's an agenda of chasing short-term financial gain ahead of any responsibility to the environment or to our communities. The blatant denial of evidence from the USA and Australia is leaving England isolated. For a government intent on unionism, it is following an isolationist agenda when it comes to fuel. Scotland banned fracking and there's a moratorium in Wales. It is therefore so painful that planning conditions are changed regularly to suit the industry rather than to protect residents, which is actually the purpose of planning regulations. The fact that councillors and officers who rarely visit the site, who know little about protectors or protesters or the campaign, appear to wade through changes based on assumption. In the past year, Cordrilla at the PNR Preston New Road site has been found wanting on numerous occasions regarding water management, health and safety issues and communication with the neighbours. This is before they even start fracking. There have been numerous reports of traffic breaches, there's been acts of violence perpetrated upon protesters, and the reports made by protesters have highlighted these issues. Regulators told a recent community liaison group that they were learning on the job. Cordrilla are in effect self-regulating whilst maintaining a public facade of being a good neighbour. Their investment in school science competitions, awards, ceremonies and children's sports is a conventional PR tactic and is combined in line with AstroTurf groups who attempt to discredit any dissident voices. The fact the Environment Agency passed a variation in the fracking process and that Lancashire County Council passed yet another traffic alteration against this background has left many of us dismayed. Adding to this cauldron of mistrust and anger, I'm afraid to say, are the police. The other night I had sight of some notes from a police and crime authority meeting. Fracking featured naturally as the police response to the protests so far has been controversial and expensive. Apart from large numbers drafted in literally to walk HGVs on site, the injuries sustained to protectors include broken fingers, torn ligaments, damaged cartilage, bruises, concussion, loss of consciousness. All of these are denied by those in charge. People have been dragged, wheelchair users tipped, people tripped, pushed and shoved. Repeatedly, we are told the aim is to be even-handed, but the balance consistently falls in favour of the industry. Scenes such as this are repeated in Yorkshire and Derbyshire, so we are left with no conclusion that this is a deliberate attempt to curtail protest. Those briefing notes repeated the idea that protesters are not local, ignoring the many locals who are roadside, attending meetings and working behind the scenes. This narrative of local and therefore legitimate protester and national and therefore troublemaker has sadly been played out since day one and is repeatedly challenged by those who've been part of the demonstrations. But unfortunately, there's a disingenuous relationship between the police and the community. On the one hand, we're told in meetings our right to protest are upheld, but actions on the ground have been the opposite. Despite attempts to reassure us, the fact we know what is being spun to the authorities and the media away from the front lines leaves us very distrustful. Our community relationship with our police will never be recovered, and for now many view the force as security guards for corporate interests. Those who've seen other campaigns forewarned us, but for many of us locally, this realisation has been very, very difficult. Police collusion and facilitation of fracking is clear when myths about protesters are perpetuated in community meetings and repeated by the media and used as evidence in planning meetings. Many town and parish councillors are frustrated by their inability to be heard amid the clamour to enforce the fracking agenda. Residents are determined when they're aware of the issues, pushing themselves to make their presence felt, while others are cowed by fear or simply don't believe their actions will make a difference. I understand that. Having stuck my head over the parapet, I know how hard it is to keep going, to keep shouting into the void, to make complaints. We are fighting an entire system, not just one industry. We're faced with a government infiltrated by oil and gas lobbyists and faced with a county council and regulars who seem incapable of robust action. And we're fighting perceptions too. And we have a media which at best likes to paint anti-fracking campaigners as extremists, or at worst just ignores our protest. So as we prepare to rally resistance to a second site tucked away in rural Fylde at Rosica, we cannot help believe that even-handed judgment is just a thing of fiction. So I don't wish to sound, that's not the words of a despondent woman. These are the words of a very determined woman as part of a very determined campaign. And I just want to thank everybody for the past year. I know the campaign is a lot longer than 1 year old, it's several years old, but the last year has been the hardest physically, mentally, and I know we are in for a tough few years coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Miranda, and thank you for speaking for all of us. Anyone else want to speak whilst I've got a microphone? Alan, Barbara, Gina? No. Nobody wants to speak. Gareth? We've got some real shrinking violets on our side, but they're tough nonetheless. Okay, well, I don't think there's any point in me saying a great deal more other than hopefully we're getting noticed, hopefully our voices are being heard. By and large, the people walking past today have been supportive of us, and we will continue to explore every democratic channel. Of course, we don't want to cause trouble or get in people's way, but we have explored every possible channel. Our voices are being ignored. We are frankly being treated with contempt. And we do speak for the silent majority. I mean, no doubt about that at all. All the government surveys about public awareness repeatedly.
I'm going to wind that up now because it's very cold, my hands filming, and yeah, that's it for the day.